Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Final Fantasy Bestiary. This series is dedicated towards discovering the history and lore behind Final Fantasy's most iconic creatures, characters, weapons, whatever, we'll talk about it. Today we're going to be doing a reissue of our Blue Mage episode since Final Fantasy XIV updated, so expect the majority of it to be the same as the first time you may have seen it, or if you haven't, you're in for a treat. And on top of that, we'll be changing the very end of the video to accommodate for new Blue Mage information that's come out. The Blue Mage is a job that focuses on learning enemy abilities to use for themselves. The most commonly associated method with learning Blue Magic is tied to being hit or seeing an attack that's used by an enemy, but many Final Fantasy titles have their own unique way of learning the spells. It is often seen wearing blue-colored cloth or leather-based armors and wielding a sword, though this is far from the job's limits. Because of the stronger weapon and armor types, they are usually more durable than traditional mages, an aspect attributed by the need to put themselves in danger to learn new moves. The Blue Mage made its first official appearance in Final Fantasy V as one of the jobs obtained when the Wind Crystal shatters. For this iteration, if any of the Blue Mages learn an attack, all of the party gains access to it, making sure you don't need to relearn skills for other party members later. Some abilities, however, can't be learned without the help of a Beastmaster and its ability Control, which allows you to command monsters to use specific attacks. This is usually required for Blue Mages to learn buffs or healing abilities such as Mighty Guard or White Wind. These two skills in particular became two of the Blue Mage's most popular skills in the series and can sometimes be the sole reason for using Blue Magic. Blue Mage is also one of the few jobs that survived the great job exodus of the numbered series after Final Fantasy V. Even if the job itself is not present, Blue Magic as a school is often available to the player in some way. In Final Fantasy VI, it took form in the character Strago Magus, whom learns abilities from enemies simply by seeing them used. This power is called Lore in Final Fantasy VI, which led to him being titled as a Lore Master instead of a Blue Mage in some iterations of the game. However though, he is ultimately Final Fantasy VI's Blue Mage. In Final Fantasy VII, Blue Magic was present in the form of the enemy skill materia, which allows party members to learn Blue Magic by being hit by a qualifying attack with the materia equipped. Unlike in Final Fantasy V, however, every different enemy skill materia needs to learn its own magic. You also can't learn enemy magic by hitting yourself with the skill, meaning that if you plan to use multiple of this materia, you'll want them all equipped as often as possible. It's also important to note that as long as the player doesn't escape or get ejected from a fight, they learn the skill they are hit by even if that attack is fatal. Similar to Final Fantasy V, sometimes players need to control enemies with the Manipulate materia in order to learn certain Blue Magic, specifically White Wind and Mighty Guard. In Final Fantasy VIII, the character Quistis Trep has access to Blue Magic as her Limit Break skill. Unlike previous iterations, she doesn't learn abilities by being hit or seeing them, and instead learns them by using items that teach the skill. Their power actually increases as Quistis' Crisis level increases, a hidden stat in Final Fantasy VIII that is determined by how much danger a character is in. Low health, dead party members, number of status effects, all of these things increase your Crisis level, which increases the likeliness of limit breaks being accessible and how much damage the Blue Magic will deal. Oddly enough, Quistis' weapon of choice, a whip, is a weapon more commonly associated with Beastmasters, though she's not the only Blue Mage to use one. Final Fantasy IX would see Quina Quen as its local Blue Mage. Quina's unique take on learning Blue Magic is that she eats her enemies when they are low on health. This not only finishes the enemy off, but teaches Quina any Blue Magic they might know. However, Quina's Blue Magic is generally not enough to make up for some of her weaker attributes. Even Mighty Guard, one of the most popular Blue Magic skills as we stated earlier, doesn't really last long enough to warrant its steep MP cost in Final Fantasy IX. Frog Drop is her most popular Blue Magic since it scales with the number of frogs she has eaten and not her other stats. Final Fantasy X would see Blue Mage merged with Dragoon in the character Kimahri, who uses Blue Magic as his overdrive, titled Ronso Rage in this game. In order to learn new skills, Kimahri uses the Lancet ability. In most games, this ability is just used by Dragoons to absorb a little bit of health. Here, it not only restores a small amount of HP and MP, but instantly teaches Kimahri a Blue Magic spell his opponent can use if he doesn't already know it. It also fully charges your overdrive so you can use your new Blue Magic right away. It's worth mentioning that if an enemy knows multiple Blue Magic spells, Kimahri can Lancet them repeatedly to learn all of the spells. This is especially important against the bosses Biran and Yankee, whom can teach Kimahri almost every Blue Magic skill in the game except for Nova, which is only learned from Omega Weapon or Nemesis. In Final Fantasy XI, the Blue Mage job was introduced in the Treasures of Aht Urhgan expansion pack. In the world of Vana'diel, it is said that the use of blue magic actually endangers the soul of the user, as mortal men were not intended to use such powers. Those who are overcome by this are actually turned into hideous monsters called psych flares. To help limit the job's power in the MMO landscape, blue mages are required to equip a limited number of spells at a given time. The player chooses from their pool of learned spells, with each spell having a point value until the maximum number of points are assigned. These spells obviously grant you access to the ability, but on top of that they usually give you some passives, which can be stats or straight up traits that you otherwise might not have access to. The job also has the ability to trigger skill chains and magic bursts using their spells, allowing them to be incredibly versatile. The job's versatility makes it a strong option in endgame content, whether it be through powerful spellcast or, more commonly, a super buffed melee DPS. Blue magic would then finally see an absence from the main numbered series of Final Fantasies 12 and 13, though Lightning does get a blue mage garb in Lightning Returns, despite not actually learning any monster abilities from it. Since implementation in Final Fantasy XI, the job has been strictly used in off-titles such as Type Zeroes, the Tactics and Ivalice games, Record Keeper, and Final Fantasy Explorers. A blue mage equivalent also appeared in Final Fantasy X-2, known as the Gun Mage. Similar to blue mages, it can utilize certain blue bullet spells once enemy abilities are used on the Gun Mage. Bravely Default and Bravely Second also have blue mage equivalents in that of the Vampire and Catmancer asterisks. However, since we initially released this video, blue mage has made another appearance, this time in Final Fantasy XIV. The job was incorporated in patch 4.5 and it's the game's first limited job. This means that instead of taking part in traditional raids and dungeons, the job is mostly designed to function inside of its own endgame content called the Mass Carnival. This job learns its spells similar to how it learned them in Final Fantasy XI, and can equip up to 24 of their spells at a given time, adjusting what they use depending on the situation. The job's initial level cap is 50 and will increase incrementally as new spells and challenges are introduced. As for aesthetics, the job more closely resembles that of its Final Fantasy V counterpart, whereas Final Fantasy XI resembles blue mages from the Evolution games more so. This appearance, which is more like a masquerade-style appearance, fits the greater focus on casting spells versus the mixed gameplay of the job in its sister MMO. One thing that is very unusual is its weapon choice, which is actually just a cane. It's not a staff, it's not a wand, it's a cane. And because of its simplicity, it sort of makes sense that the weapon in Final Fantasy XIV actually provides no statistical bonuses to the job itself. I guess maybe, pimpin' ain't that strong. With this recent appearance, we've updated this video, and I think it's safe to say that we'll be patiently waiting for the next version of Blue Mage, whether it be in the Final Fantasy franchise, or perhaps in one of Square Enix's other RPG franchises it has. The Bravely team is working on something, and we know they're working on something that could be Bravely, or Octopath, or something new altogether, so we'll just have to wait and see. We could also wait for 14's update, which will definitely be something worth anticipating. But with that, that's going to be a wrap to our Final Fantasy Bestiary update video for Blue Mage. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned because sometime after you're seeing this, there's going to be a bunch more information about Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, and we are going to be having much discussion about that on the channel. Anyway, I will see all of you in the next video, and until then, take care.